Let's look at another way to make feathers. For this, you're going to need a florist wire. Having it wrapped on the surface like this with paper is going to make it a little easier to hold your fusing fabric on it. Some lightweight fusing fabric and some wool. I'm using merino wool. I like how this wool looks in feathers because it's nice and long and smooth and silky. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap our florist wire with the fusing fabric. So you want to get this started, and you just want to, overlapping a little, run it all the way down the length of your feather, your piece of wire. It doesn't need to be on really thick, but you do want to cover the whole area. Now it will tend to unravel from the bottom sometimes, so you can make sure you're holding it, or if you want to, you can just quickly heat up the tip for a second just to get that little piece to stay. Now we're going to fold this in half. We're going to put it down, and we are going to put our wool in between the two halves. Now to do this, I like to use thin pieces of the wool. The thinner it is, the more kind of see-through and natural your feather is going to look. So we're just going to spread out little pieces of this and place it in between our wire. I'm going to mix in some gray. I don't know what kind of bird this feather is for, but I had those two colors handy, so I'm just going to work with the gray and the white. You can work with as many colors as you would need on your bird. And I'm just going to lay them all down here. And I'll just keep laying on thin sections of it. Until I go all the way down. Okay. When I have it all down, I'm going to hold it together. I'm just going to spin this bottom a little bit, just to tighten it together so it's not going anywhere. I'll close my parchment paper so that I am not getting the fusing tape on my iron, and I'll just heat it up. Now when I do these, I like to let it sit for just a second so that it can cool down enough to pull the paper off without pulling all the glue with it. Come out with the feather. So this one is a really, really thin feather. If you want it to look a little thicker, you would add just a little bit more wool in there. I'll just pull up the top. Go. And then I will just trim the ends. So I use this when I'm making a larger sculpture. You could use it on something smaller. You could cut your wire in half and make smaller feathers. But this wire does kind of give you a thick centerpiece. So you're not going to want to use it on very little birds. That's when I use just the fusing fabric in between layers of wool with the wire. And there we have it. Another feather.